Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the new two-seater Tesla, release date and specs for the Ludicrous Model 3, Tesla's latest incentives, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, in response to a rough quarter, Tesla is introducing a number of incentives to drive up sales for the end of Q1. Troy Teslike, a prominent Tesla analyst, posted his predictions that the company's sales are way down so far this year. He says, quote, "Over the last 3 years, Tesla sales in Q1 have been higher than the preceding Q4. That's not going to be the case in this quarter. Instead, Q1 2024 will be much less than 484,000 in Q4 2023 or 466,000 in Q2 2023. It's not great." Tesla also had a relatively rocky Q4 last year, being beaten out in EV sales for the first time by Chinese competitor BYD. These numbers are ultimately unconfirmed at this point, but Troy Teslike is a pretty reliable Tesla analyst. If it's true that sales are still in a slump, then that has to have Tesla a little worried. As such, we're seeing the company do a lot to drive up sales by the end of the quarter, like they do oftentimes. Last month, Tesla announced that the rear-wheel drive and long-range Model Y would be going up in price at the start of March. They had it posted all over their website, and while the price increase is unfortunate, the forewarning was probably done to give anybody sitting on the fence about these cars a bit of a nudge to buy quickly. Now that March has begun, both the rear-wheel drive and long-range trims have gone up in price by $1,000. Both of those trims are completely eligible for the $7,500 EV tax credit, but this price increase does change things a little bit for customers. In order to compensate, we're seeing a ton of other incentives appear across the board. First, they have announced that any customer who trades in their vehicle for a brand new Tesla during the month of March will receive 5,000 miles of free supercharging. That is a great value and may give prospective customers a good reason to jump in. It does come with some caveats though. First, these miles will expire after 2 years and cannot be transferred to another owner or vehicle. 5,000 miles should be easy to use in 2 years, but if you're charging mostly at home, it's good to remember that you have to use them before you lose them. Second, this promotion is not available for business vehicles, used cars, or any Cybertruck orders. Tesla then further extended this offer, saying, quote, "Customers who trade in a vehicle by March 31st, 2024 will receive 5,000 miles of free supercharging when leasing a new vehicle, or a total of 10,000 free supercharger miles for cash or finance purchases." If you're in the right situation, you could receive 10,000 supercharger miles, which is a pretty great incentive. Just keep in mind that they do expire after 2 years, and that Tesla's trade-in values are notoriously low. So you could be receiving less money to trade in your car with Tesla in exchange for those supercharger miles, and it may not balance out fully for you. Next, Tesla is still rolling with another couple incentives, FSD and unlimited supercharging transfers. Most of the time, FSD is permanently tied to the vehicle that you purchased it for, and can't be transferred if you buy a new car. Likewise, some early Model S and X customers were given unlimited supercharging for the lifetime of their vehicles, which also can't usually be transferred. In the past, Tesla has occasionally offered a promotion where customers who buy a new Tesla can transfer over FSD or unlimited supercharging from their old vehicles. Now this is in place again until March 31st. In my opinion, an FSD transfer is something that should always exist, but it is good to see Tesla rolling this out at a few different points. I think it does convince a lot of customers, because if you have that FSD package, it's over $10,000 to get it on a new vehicle, so it's a transfer that's worthwhile to many. We often see Tesla roll out incentives like these at the end of a quarter as a way of driving up sales. If it is true that Tesla is seeing a rougher than anticipated quarter, then that would explain why they are pulling out all of the stops to push some last-minute cars out of the door. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more and then see some discounts pop up in inventory for sure. If you're interested in buying a brand new Tesla, then these incentives make it a very good time to do so. We'll have to wait and see what Tesla's true delivery numbers are for this quarter, but that should certainly help give them a sales boost. Next up today, the big thing going forward for Tesla is their next generation EV. That car, if it comes to its full fruition as intended, should be the truly affordable platform that Tesla can massively scale up in all markets. It could be what takes them from their current prominence to one of the biggest automakers in the world. We've seen various rumors of what this car could be, some of them showing it even as small as a 2-seater for a robotaxi on this platform, but for the time being, Tesla's vehicles are all 5-seaters or more. For more customers, especially business customers, an electric vehicle doesn't need all of those seats, and that's where Tesla's latest Model Y trim comes in. Currently, this car out of all factories comes in either a 5-seater or a 7-seater. The additional 2 seats are very small in the 7-seater, but some customers specifically need less space, so Tesla just introduced a 2-seater Model Y. They said, quote, "Tesla has developed a 2-seater Model Y with a storage capacity of 2,158 liters and offering a range of up to 565 kilometers WLTP cycle. This model is eligible for commercial vehicle taxation." This offers more storage in the rear, but additionally adds range due to the lighter weight. At 565 kilometers, or about 351 miles, that's about 30 kilometers more than the highest range of the consumer version of the Model Y on WLTP. In order to see the price of this new Model Y, interested buyers must contact Tesla's fleet unit, and the offer is only available in France for the time being. 2- or 3-seat vehicles in France that are used for commercial purposes are exempt from the TVA tax, so Tesla is going after a market with around 6.3 million commercial vehicles, and smartly altering this car for what customers need and what the tax requires. This is a pretty interesting thing to see from Tesla, especially in such a specific market like France, but this is fairly common practice. Altering the vehicle doesn't take too much work on Tesla's side, and now they are opening themselves up to an entirely new market. In part, this could be in response to the lack of vehicle purchases they're seeing from other fleets like Sixt. Those companies rely on these cars keeping their value throughout rentals and then for resale, which definitely did not happen in the last few years with Teslas. For a business buying a fleet, it's a lot more about functionality, and this 2-seater Model Y adds range over the consumer one. It's also a good example of how much weight reduction matters for an EV. 30 more kilometers are available here simply by changing this to a 2-seater. It's the exact same battery pack, and that's quite interesting to see. For now, this is only coming in France, but it's something that could make a lot of sense in other markets for Tesla, especially in Europe. It seems very aimed at this tax exemption, so we'll see if they push this to other markets or simply go the route of having customers alter these cars on their own. This definitely isn't the 2-seater people were picturing from Tesla, but it does introduce a new product for them that could help with sales. As for the current 5-seater Model Y, one interesting change is in place for that car in China. Only out of that factory, the rear seats come with an additional 1.2 inches of leg support, and now Tesla has launched a retrofit for customers who don't have that. This originally came in Q4 of 2022 for the Model Y in China, so for Chinese customers who bought before then and want this upgraded, slightly more comfortable seat, it's $410. The Model Y out of the US is only the original seats, so we likely won't be seeing this retrofit anytime soon. I do imagine we'll see upgraded seats for the Model Y in the US, but it probably won't come until the Model Y Juniper, which is supposedly coming next year. Next up today, we have the latest for what is Tesla's current next vehicle in the pipeline, the Ludicrous Model 3. While the refreshed Model 3 has been out for some time out of China and now the US, the performance version has all but disappeared. That's because Tesla is working on something special with this car, and we've now seen a decent amount of leaks showing it in the wild. One of the best sightings showed this with upgraded seats, entirely new wheels, red brake calipers, and the Ludicrous badge on the back as Tesla was filming it for promotion in Spain. Others were spotted on transport trucks and more, but the latest timeline still puts the release of this exciting performance variant a couple months off. The latest updates from Tesla sources say that the Ludicrous Model 3 will come in May. Around 20 engineers recently headed to China to fix issues with motor adaptability, which also points to the fact that it might be coming out of that factory first. It also, excitingly, is supposed to have new performance motors. Dual motor appears all but confirmed here by Tesla executives, since Lars Moravy recently said of the tri-motor Model 3 that, quote, "It would be fun, man, but it would be hard to fit." As for that dual motor setup though, it is rumored to deliver as much as 618 horsepower over the previous performance Model 3's 505. The front motor will be a 3D3 motor, which gives 212, and rear will be 4D4, which gives 406. The main improvement then is coming from the rear motor, adding about 108 horsepower over the previous version. One other aspect is the kilowatt rating, which shows the rear motor should now peak at higher speeds. Quote, "The vehicle also now should achieve peak power at a higher speed of 68 miles per hour versus the outgoing car's 47 miles per hour, which could make for a better track experience. Weight apparently is unchanged compared to the older performance trim, staying at 4,089 pounds. Typically, EVs will have impressive instant torque, but that curve flattens as you get to higher speeds, and this should change that noticeably. It could bring an extremely impressive 0 to 60 well under the previous 3.1 seconds, and unconfirmed reports have even said that it's so good that Tesla may even be software locking it to a degree as to not completely wipe out the Plaid. Of course, it probably couldn't match it with simple dual motor setups like this, but it could come close enough that it's a no-brainer for customers. As for range, it's rumored to be about 267 miles based on the new, stricter EPA testing cycle, but we'll have to see there. That would be quite a range sacrifice to take for the performance it delivers, if true. Over at the Nürburgring, a camo-wrapped Ludicrous Model 3 was spotted charging up to do some testing, and then we got an official first look at the Ludicrous badge close up, separate from the car. The rumors and leaks are pretty clear at this point. Tesla really is working on something exciting here, and I can't wait to see them deliver it. Currently, it looks like we could see it in 2 months, and we'll see if it first comes from China or if they try to launch this simultaneously in multiple markets. I'm hoping for the latter. Next up today, for years, Tesla Superchargers were one of the greatest incentives for buying a Tesla, but as more automakers adopt the NACS standard, that is going to start changing. More cars are going to be able to plug in and charge at Tesla-branded superchargers, and their business model is starting to shift as a result. Ford EVs are the first competitor cars to gain access to the supercharger network, and Tesla so far is not treating them the same as their own customers. Electrek is reporting that Ford drivers are being charged an average of 30% more per kilowatt hour at superchargers across the US and Canada. If you are relying on using this network pretty consistently, then that can obviously get expensive pretty quickly, at least compared to a Tesla. As an alternative, Tesla is offering a special subscription for drivers of other brands. You can pay Tesla a $13 per month fee, and while your subscription is active, you will be able to charge at the same price as a Tesla owner. I'm sure a lot of owners may be disappointed that access to the superchargers has this premium attached, but Tesla opening up their network had to have some kind of caveat to it. If you own a non-Tesla EV, access to the supercharger network greatly increases the usability of your vehicle. For a lot of customers, that premium will actually be totally worth it because you can take your EV, whatever it is, and have reliable charging across the country. If you want to take your EV on a road trip or are otherwise planning on using these chargers a lot, then the subscription could save you a lot of money in the long run. All in all, it's a modest fee, but it could lead to Tesla making millions. A move like this could also be good incentive for other companies to get moving on building their own proper charging infrastructure to compete. I can easily imagine a third-party NACS charger advertising, "Come charge here, no added fees or subscriptions required." Either way, increased access to the supercharger network will ultimately be advantageous for all EV drivers and Tesla. It's really exciting to see, and I can't wait to see more EVs of all brands charging together. Next up today, Tesla may be considering building a new factory in Italy. According to the Minister for Business and Made in Italy, the government has been in talks with Tesla about a potential factory there. He also mentioned BYD. According to ANSA, an Italian publication, he told the lower house's industry committee, quote, "We have had talks with producers from several countries, not just Eastern ones, but Western ones too." He went on to say a German city rejected a plan for the large-scale expansion of Tesla's European assembly plant. This will certainly lead to a decision by the group. The plant he's referring to is Giga Berlin, where Tesla has had to overcome a lot of obstacles concerning permitting. There, the local residents of Grünheide voted against Tesla's planned expansion of that factory, but that vote isn't binding. If Tesla does expand that factory anyway, they likely won't be looking at Italy anytime soon. Reportedly, these talks with Italian officials have been ongoing for months, and they have had a very positive response from Tesla. At the same time, though, he said Italy will, quote, "have to protect the internal market from competition with trade measures, as the United States is doing, and with industry measures, so everything concerning this new factory is still up in the air." Italy has reportedly been looking to diversify their auto industry, as they have yet to truly enter the EV space. Tesla isn't their only option, though, as BYD is also interested in building there for European distribution. Italy is just another possible location for Tesla's next expansion, so I wouldn't bet on this deal moving forward very soon. If they don't move forward with their expansion in Berlin, though, Italy could be next on the list. With all of the delays they've experienced in Giga Mexico too, they might be feeling a sense of urgency to get the next Gigafactory up and running. Tesla supposedly plans to announce a new factory location by the end of this year, so we'll have to wait and see. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. Over at Porsche, the company is currently in the middle of deciding the future of a very cool EV product. Last year, they unveiled the Mission X EV concept, an electric sports car that they claim would be the fastest vehicle they have ever produced. The concept is slated to include a 900-volt system with charging speeds twice as fast as their Taycan and nearly 1,500 horsepower. The only question left for the company is, are they actually going to make this car? When it was announced, Porsche told us that it wasn't for sale, but that its production future would be decided in due time. Their CEO told the press that they would likely make a final decision for this car by the end of the year, but its future isn't certain. Even for a niche luxury vehicle like this, the economics still have to make sense for this company. If they go through with production, this is surely going to be one of the most exciting sports cars on the market. While most of us will likely never get to sit behind the wheel of a car like this, it's always super exciting to see what is happening at the pinnacle of EV design. Often those luxury vehicles are the test grounds for some of the exciting features that eventually make their way down into normal consumer vehicles. GM has just announced that their upcoming Ultium platform-based Bolt is going to use new, cheaper battery technology that should save billions in cost. Chevy has been working on a replacement to their popular Bolt EV on their Ultium platform that's due to come out next year. Even though they have discontinued their old Bolt, the company recognized the value of maintaining its legacy as an affordable EV option. In order to preserve that affordability, Chevy is working to streamline the revived Bolt and is integrating LFP battery technology. This will be the first Ultium vehicle to incorporate LFP tech, and they are confident that it will, quote, make it more profitable for us and significantly improve the business case for it. Chevy seems committed to preserving the affordability of the Bolt line, and I hope that they are able to do so effectively. Even though the Ultium line had a very rough start with paused sales of the Blazer EV, their Equinox EV should be coming soon, starting at $35,000. They're adamant it will qualify for the full $7,500 tax credit, which should bring this price down to around $27,500, if you qualify for that. If they could do the same with the Chevy Bolt, that could be a big game changer for the market. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see all the details about Rivian's great Model Y competitor coming soon, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.